I do not refer to these compositions as poems. I rather would call them stories in verse. I have composed these over a period of time in my good old age, and I hope that some of them will meet with your satisfaction. Thank you, David Sheinbaum. My life. My world is nearing to its end. My life is soon over. My personal story parallels the story of both mankind. It is only in this minor essential that it differs from others, if at all. I have not inspired any devoted friendship, nor have I made any enemies that I know of. Until I have become more intimate with a person, I have taken him on his face value, and judged him accordingly. General opinions I have always taken with a grain of salt, and I have reserved decision on praise and criticism. Good and evil are relative terms. What is good today may be evil tomorrow, and vice versa. Be not hasty to judge, lest you judge in error, and always give one the benefit of a doubt. In my youth, I often wandered aimlessly in deep contemplation, and have been troubled by the many hardships and toils that befall men. The wide open spaces, the hills and valleys, the deathly stillness of the deep forests have inspired me with wonder, awe, and fear. The heavens above, the stars, and our own planet Earth, as well as life upon it, have mystified me as to their why and wherefore. Was there a beginning to all of this, and will there be an end, or is there infinitude beyond human conception? Is there an intelligent plan in their being, or is their being an evolutionary process in our cosmos, which had no beginning and will have no end? I have searched in tomes of old and new for a clarification of my perplexity, but I have found none, but more perplexing definitions and theories which further mystified and complexed my curiosity. Life should not be like a rushing stream, dashing over hills and valleys, carrying everything in its path to an ultimate destination. Rather, it should be like a quiet flowing stream, humbly obeying the laws of nature as it winds back and forth to find a course of least resistance in its endless flow. As we look back into the past, we recognize a moment in time which was decisive, a time at which the pattern of our life changed, a moment in time at which we moved irrevocably off in a new direction. The change may be the result of a plan or an accident. We may have left happiness or ruin behind us and advanced to a different happiness or to a more thorough ruin. In either case, there is no going back. The ensuing days, weeks, months, and years, incidents follow one another over which we have but little control, and they bind us to new duties or obligations, making retreats very hard or altogether impossible. David Sheinbaum. A fantasy, or an elegy to a departed debonair. D.O.D. Fast asleep in your downy bed, are you restful and at ease? For in the stormy life you led, it was but others you had to please. Do you dream of the days before you went away, and the nights of glamour you so often whiled away? Your departure was so sudden, you left an ache in our hearts. You gave us no warning of your hasty depart. We watch through our window, we await your step on our floor, we listen to your ring and knock on our door. But so much time already has passed since you just went away. You left us lonesome and bewildered for lack of a good reason why. In the world in which you now abide, Are there fields and oceans wide, forests, hills and valleys, and beautiful groves in which to hide? Are there lanes, streets and avenues, all gay and bright, and glamorous broadways full of sparkling lights? Are there hunting grounds there, very fair and vast, and flashy cars, speedy and fast? Are there ladies waiting in lofty towers to welcome strangers in their amorous bowers? Are there maidens fair with flaxen hair and eyes sparkling bright, and lips full of nectar and delight? To hold them tight, their eyes full of desire, and to kiss their red lips like burning fire? Are there inns and hostleries where wayfarers may rest, and menus filled with connoisseurs' repasts, where one can dine until early dawn and pleasantly await another morn? D.O.D., in your everlasting repose, do you ever dream of those who in life played so important a part in the intimate affairs of your heart? Do you dream of the many who have long departed and who in your youth nurtured you when life first started? Do they visit you in their finery best, or in drab mourning without humor or zest? Are there family meetings when food and drinks are served, and when home-life blessings can readily be observed? You were ever so sharp and bright, so that in amazing delight one listened to your rendition as you made clear your position on matters important or light. True, you were impatient and offensive with the inquisitive and fool, but these you chided and derided in a manner patient and cool. You did not follow the tradition set by family and times, but you followed your own ambition in a unique manner and strange climes. You loved music and song, partook in sport and dance, and for a life worth prolonging, you dared fate and chance. It is a dreary world you left behind, with elements harsh and events unkind. The very earth at departure's home forever covers the everlasting tone. Life is a tale told by a fool, a very old tale worth nothing at all. So sleep in your downy bed, have no worry of care, and dream of the sweet dreams of a departed debonair. 2 Orphan Waves. This is a story about 2 orphan waifs, a boy and a girl left alone in a small city, without home, without friends, or anyone to take care of them. They were madly in love with one another, but after a while the girl could not take that kind of a life and she passed away. And this is her lover talking to her, either at her grave or just in general. I am walking in the field, my darling, the same as we used to do when you were young and gay and I was in love with you. The hills and valleys are still there, the flowers bloom with odors rare, they fill with scent the refreshing air, but life is no more hearty, nor outlook fair. My footsteps are no more as fast as they used to be in the past, but I used to hurry toward appointed tryst. Alas, now you have become but a hazy mist. In vain I try to draw back the curtain of good old time, but only mean dark shadows appear in my present dismal clime. So lonely I walk in the field, my dear, and I dream of that bygone year, and my eyes fill with tears and my heart grips with pain as I follow our well-trodden path again. I lie me down where together we used to rest, and try not to think of the bygone past, lest, my mind go astray, and in misery I pass my life away. I often visit your burial ground and shed many tears upon your mound, and always I wonder how soon, if ever, once more we shall both be together. I hope and pray that the day will come soon when I shall no more wander in this world of gloom, but restfully lie in an earthy bed, and comfort and ease be my lot instead. Then once more I will join you, never to part again, and forever we will be happy in our heavenly domain. Epilogue. But a short time later in misery he died, and in a lonely hearse he had his last ride. No oration was made, no mourners cried, as forever they laid him by her side. No mourners ever came to pray at their graves, for they were but two orphan waves, and though hungry and in rags they ever did roam, at last side by side they slept in their own home. December 1969. This is a story of a senile old man, and I call it an old fool's dream. She was lovely and sweet, and there being no harm, to give myself a treat, I offered her my arm. She cautiously hesitated, and blushing debated what might be my intention, as she procrastinated in suspension. But I don't even know you, she said in a soft remark, so how can I accompany you in a dark park so dark? But the hills were ever so green, and in the blue sky above, the stars did sparkle, wooing youth to love. So arm in arm we walked through park, meadow, and lane, and all the time we talked until we both dropped in pain. In amorous embrace, unaware of time and space, in heavenly bliss we lingered in a night-long kiss. We hoped it would last for all time to come. But then suddenly we awoke, my God, it's time to go home. Now you will have to marry me, blushingly she said. I will soon become a mother-to-be, I am very much afraid. I came to sudden realization as to what it's all about, and of the serious situation I had no doubt. But seeing her dismay, her agony and pain, I wiped her tears away and kissed her lips again and again. I will love you forever, I will make your life happy and bright, and never will I leave you out of my sight. We will build a home just for us two, and we'll make it a paradise for me and for you. We will have many children, all bright and gay, and together we will while away the glorious long day. We will go to see plays, both musical and dramatic. We will attend many concerts, both inspiring and ecstatic. Many books we will read of poetry and prose, and of the classic authors, their best we will choose. Ours will be a life of much play and fun, never, never to end until our life be done. And when that time comes, we will lie side by side, and forevermore in happy dreams abide. So ends the dream of an aged old fool, as he sits in a corner on a rickety old stool. December 1969. Amoro. Once upon a time, in a village of poor fame, where happened many a crime, I have long forgotten its name, there lived an aged couple, both yet healthy and supple, but very, very poor, hunger ever stalking at their door. They had children to the number 5, none too well, but all alive. Help they could give but little, for they were all so very brittle. For many generations their ancestors lived in this village, and in order to make a living they all engaged in tillage. One day, as they were plowing a field they recently acquired, they found the work very trying, even with extra horse I had hired. Suddenly they became startled, for that day plowing was done, for from a rock all colors sparkled, reflections from the rays of the sun. This phenomenon put them into a muddle, sending both of them into a huddle. This possibility they certainly doubted, but then in unison they shouted, "Gold! We have found a treasure! Oh, what a pleasure! Not a word to mention, we must avoid strangers' attention. The first thing we must do is to fence the entire field. You and I and the children too shall benefit from its yield." So quietly they shuffled home, and pleasantly their minds did roam. In whispers they began to pray, thanking God for their lucky day. That night they could not sleep, but talked of their good luck, and of the harvest they would reap from the field of gold they struck. Right there and then they began to plan of the wealth they would amass, and of all the worldly goods they would eventually possess. Next morning they set to work and built a fence tall and strong, with a heavy gate and lock to keep out the snooping throng. For days and days they dug, their fields so very rugged, heavy rocks they did lug, every stone a precious nugget. The field became a series of hills, their clothes all in tatters. It gave them such pleasant thrills. Why bother about other matters? Their children too helped along, though none of them were very strong. They worked on from day to day, with no time off for rest or play. People in the village began to wonder what happened to the couple that lived yonder. They have not been seen for more than a week. They must all be very, very sick. So the villagers went to investigate, but finding no one in the shack, they went and knocked on the heavy gates, but not a sound from over the fence came back. To the sheriff they all did throng, and to the gate they brought them along. He demanded that the couple open the door, an order he claimed in the name of the law. Louder and louder became the roar, "You had better open the door." This demand the sheriff made. The law, he said, must be obeyed. So the heavy gate was opened, and lo and behold, what the villagers in amazement saw, the mound and mound of glittering gold. There arose much of a commotion, for the villagers had a notion that it would be only just fair that they all get a share. But the couple insisted, "In our name this field is listed. Away with all of you and your squabbles, leave us alone and give us no troubles." So the sheriff insisted on proof that the field they did legally own, or properly signed and sealed by the authorities of the town. This they could readily prove beyond any reasonable doubt, so the sheriff told the villagers, "Begone! The couple found gold in a field they rightfully do own." So the couple lived ever after in comfort and in wealth, and their none too well children soon much improved in health. They, being good gentle folks, helped many others, and so very soon they found that they had many sisters and brothers. The moral of this poem's measure is, if you do find a treasure, share it all with others, and therefore you will spend your life full of joy and pleasure. December 1968. An old mountain couple. In a deserted village on a hilly track, there stood alongside a highway a tumble-down shack. Its rafters were moldy, here and there a crack, and of bugs and roaches there was no lack. There was also nearby a small potato patch where some scrawny chickens the pebbly earth did scratch. Occasionally there some vegetables did grow, and out in the yard at dawn a rooster would crow. An ailing couple lived in the shack, but not a trace was left of their children's track. None of them ever came back. The old man was partially deaf and blind, and his wife was almost out of her mind. Yet they took good care of each other, and never did they hurt one another. There was also an old fable about the wreck of a stable, where once lodged a cow, a horse, and a goat. Near by a river they once owned a boat. They had no neighbors with whom to bicker, and for a living they brewed some liquor. This went on for many years. Once a week they would call on those who the home brew readily chose. The stuff they carried well hidden under their clothes. But alas, one miserable day some revenue agents passed that way, bent on their heartless tracking for illicit brewers caught napping. They noticed the shack on top of the hill, a ready-made spot, they said, for a hidden still. With all their ill will they wrecked the shack until they found the still, and so they left the couple homeless on the bare hill. The couple looked at each other, utterly dismayed, and thought they would rather that both of them were dead. The poor demented old lady in terror and fright, and the deaf old man with losing sight, embraced each other in pity and grief, and held on tight. Hysterically they sobbed, crying, "Of our living we have been robbed, our home we will never see. Oh God, how cruel men can be. Where to know can we roam? We have no more home. All that is left to us now is a damn dreary tomb." The poor old couple shacked in their stable and lingered for a while in a manner of their animal style. Then one day both of them passed away, filled with bitterness and woe, whilst on the potato patch the scrawny chickens the pebbly earth did scratch, and on a long paw at dawn a rooster would crow. December 1968. The presidential election of 1968. The campaigning is over, the voting already done. The candidates are sober, they have all had their run. But yesterday they were enemies, each other they did disgrace. Now they've discovered how much each needs the other's grace. The winners are happy, the losers are vexed. Now both winners and losers have buried their ex. As for the masses, that conglomeration of asses, there be no more need for their favors. Back to the pit with you and your daily labors. A new president has been elected, of whom much is expected, but his promises no more matter, for they only meant to flatter, to fool the innocent and the doter, and the favor-seeking voter. Each and every one hoped from this campaign to gain a share important and just, but as everyone knows, the winning goes to those who lie at last. So let us see whether it will be regression or prosperity, for professional and proctor, the housebreaker and erector, the businessman and worker, the strikebreaker and slacker, the middleman and needy too, or just for the affluent, wealthy few. Now the knave and the fool, the innocent and the stool, the baker and candlestick maker, the constructor and wrecker, the middleman and worker, the Negro, the Jew, and the Gentile too are bewildered and ponder about their welfare and fate, and all of them wonder, did they in fact use discretion in their elect the right man to steer the ship of their state correct? Now it is all over, and for 4 more years some will wallow in clover, others in tears, and whether for many or a fraction, there will always be action and a chance for a change in yet another election. Cosmology. He was a lonesome boy, seldom played with any toy. Alone he always wandered, and in mysteries his mind pondered. The celestial sky, spangled with stars up high, the pale moon above the clouds, making timely its monthly rounds. The ocean deep and wide, its daily ebb and flow tide, the hot summer blow and the cold winter snow. The daily rising and setting sun, is this just a lot of fun? It all made him wonder, beating upon his mind like thunder. What is it all about? To be sure he had no doubt that all this majestic display had more than a simple reason why. Later, from the Bible he learned of the 6-day creation, but this is a learned mind term to simple an explanation. What was before creation took place? A vacuum without time and space? A universe created out of nil, brought about by a mere will? If God wanted to create a home for man, all he needed was a simple plan, a solar system in full completion, comprising an earth without plagues and competition. Why all this waste of matter, the vast expanse with stars scatter, billions of galaxies and quasars receding, with solar systems of their own fast spinning? With the theoretic speculations of the ancients he made close acquaintance, but they based their theories on the visual and tangible, all dogmatic, positive, and unchangeable, now being non-acceptable. He also searched in Judean and secular probations, but they based their finding on Greek philosophy and revelation, often straying into fantastic exaggeration. He sampled astrology, metaphysics, and the Kabbalah with much consideration, but they laid the concepts beyond human imagination. Therefore, all that was left to him was scientific exploration. So to science he made his application, there hoping to find more complete, factual and practical explanation of the physical laws that keep regulation in this vast, mysterious creation. Here he learned of rules and laws of determination fixed by science without exaggeration, and by experimental and practical illustration, it all made a more satisfactory explanation of creation. But far from clear was his mind as to where a beginning and an end he could find. Some claimed a spontaneous Big Bang creation, others believed in a steady-state situation, and lastly, an oscillating universe in consideration. There was also the question of a soul and life in the hereafter, but here cosmology played a role, and its efforts ended in disaster. The Talmudic rabbis claimed that the soul seat to be in the heart, and together with the body formed a complete functioning part. At life's expiration, the soul would immediately depart. But modern medics invented a stunt and succeeded in a heart transplant. They used the heart of a man whose death was sure and known, a heart from which the soul had flown. They implanted it into the chest of an invalid who of his ailing heart had been relieved. The heart functioned without a soul, and a moral life the recipient lived. As for the hereafter, in brief, no such promise did the Bible make, but If you don't want to die in grief, by all means believe, for goodness sake. So keep adding links to the infinite chain, whose completion man may never attain, for the work is not for us to finish, even though forever mysteries do diminish. D.S. January 1969. Longing. I long for my loved ones across the vast ocean, and I dream about them by day and by night in everlasting devotion. This is not a mere expression or an afterthought you must trust, but a deep feeling that was fated throughout my life to last. So forever I go on longing over in time and space, and forever I rely upon goodness and grace, that a reunion soon may take place. Often the Atlantic I have crossed, and nights in bed I have tossed, dreaming of years gone by, and happy times whiled away. Then youth and adolescent years were happy and sweet. Out there as nowhere else did life offer such a treat. Often through the streets of London I do walk, and with some of my old pals of bygone days we talk. I often visit some of the parks where in youth I enjoyed many larks. There among beautiful flower beds I joyfully capered with maidens and lads. Of my love life too I often dream, whose sentiments I deem and esteem to have been at times pleasant, and at other times painfully keen. I often dream of my youth at work, when from morning to midnight in grocery shops I did clerk, and much my preservation did irk. I dream of the narrow streets I often did roam, and some of the dingy lodgings that served as my home. I dream of my loving mother, ever in fear of harm, and of my congenial father, forever serene and calm. I dream of my loving sisters, and my dear brothers too, as together we comprise a family, ever concerned, loving and true. I dream of the life in my youth I led, and of the many events that occurred, some of which were good, and some that were bad. I mourn and lament that a good education I never had, which might have enabled me a better life to have had. Now the years have gone by, and it is useless to ask why things happened as they did, for soon there will be no more affliction at the end of life's restriction, and it will make no difference indeed when the mourners arise awake and the ushers close the lid. D.S. January 1969. The story of travel. For many centuries, men have sailed the sea. They have forever dared its ferocity, lured by its fascinating mystery. The most ancient voyagers were the adventurous Phoenicians. In 30 ships, and with skilled hands, they rounded the coastal lands and accomplished their missions in strange, far-off lands. For almost 2,000 years there was but little change as these brave sailors dared the ocean range. They followed the coastlines to trade in distant lands, and most often they fought with wild, savage bands. Then came the sailing ships with crew nests ahoy, and with artful cabin boys who their adventures did enjoy. These sailing ships sailed across the vast ocean and discovered new lands, peopled by strange nations. They followed the trade winds north, south, and west, leaving behind home and hearth, and enduring raging storms, hunger and thirst. They discovered 2 continents, seeking a shortcut to the Orient, North and South America, virgin lands of great extent. This was the era of piracy, robbers on the high sea. In peaceful harbors they steered their ships Their murderous cruelty heeded no pleas. They attacked helpless raiding ships, looted their cargo and slew their crew. Even armed battleships into battle they drew. Next came the ocean liners with full steam ahead, with grand cabins and diners, and stewards and deckhands ever in attend. They offered tours to far-off isles, luxury trips to satisfy most pertinent wiles, with music and dance and gambling too, tours lasting a whole year through. But forever change goes on, and soon they too will be gone, as other means of travel will take their place on sea, air, and in outer space. Already the air is filled with jet powerful roar, bringing far-off lands nearly right next door. The space age too is already here, and soon the moon and planets too will become our neighbors near, and maybe heaven next, the elect is angels fear. Already rockets have reached the far-off pale moon, and to the far-off planets men will be flying soon. Even the far-off stars, distant measures in light years, may offer no bars to ambitious men's yearns. As to where to next, will man aspire? As he keeps looking higher and higher, he may his speculations direct to life on Earth, in effect, that may exist in solar system with seasons right and day, in our galaxy many light years away. But try as he may, here on Earth he will stay, and here he will remain his everlasting abode, until the universe vanishes and time and space will become a void. New York City. New York City is a wonderful place to visit, but hardly a place wherein to live, so spend some time in it, and after a while get out and leave. The streets are forever crowded, but not a person whom to greet, and the pavements forever bear the clang of hurrying feet. Money can be spent here galore, and many return home poor. By day and by night the lights are ever bright, and forever there is to see yet another interesting sight. Tourists come flocking here from far and from near, all of them eager to behold the tallest buildings in the world. The city is also a paradise for those who gamble and throw the dice. But mind your purse, your ring and locket, for the crowded streets are full of pickpockets. But there is also a brighter side for those with an artistic bend, and a far more interesting sight for those with little money to spend. Some ramble in hippie jaunts, others visit dingy heroin homes. Some are bent on innocent pillage in the shops of Greenwich Village. The streets are wide, the avenues are long, with many halls for dance and song, and many theaters for music and drama to entertain the kids and Papa and Mama. There is also old Chinatown, where one can enjoy chow mein and fried rice, tea and crispy egg roll, and maybe pick up a China doll. Here one meets with the Orient. In their shops much money can be spent, also a bargain now and then, or spend a night in an opium den. This is all Manhattan Island, world's most wonderful playland. So come on here, all you folks, foreigners and country hicks, from all foreign lands, towns, village, and the sticks. Leave home all your trash, but bring along all your cash. But be sure you have a return fare, or you might have to walk home in a most sore despair. The deserted beach. When the crowds have left the beach and the evening shadows fall, I sit alone with my dreams and listen to the seagull's lonely call. The benches are empty, The boardwalk deserted, the parking lot is empty, the cars have all departed. On shore, a long beachcomber for gold is prospecting, and forever he's expecting a nickel, a dime, or a quarter to find, or any other trinket bathers may have left behind. His steps are slow, and often he bends low to sift sand through his fingers, and now and then wipes his brow, as in hesitation he lingers. Any gold in them hills, I ask him in jest, but he doesn't heed my quest, taking me for just another pest. I wonder why he chose to seek a living on shore so bleak, and break his back and bruise his feet, and return home hopeless in despair and defeat. Late into the night I sit without thought or notion, and listen to the roaring sound of the waves in everlasting commotion. Whilst I'm alone, yet I'm not alone, for I have with me the sound of the surf, with its ever-changing tone. First it is quiet as if hushed by the soft moon's reflection, then comes its booming sound as it bursts in my direction. I dream of the summer that just passed by, of happy days whiled away by bathing beauties young and old, but now the days are windy, chilly and cold. So whom would I direct my footsteps to track, from out of the chilly night to the warmth and comfort of a downy bed for the night? To dream of last summer and of play and sport, partaken by all in this seaside resort, or during the cold winter to hibernate and await the return of another summer after snows and cold days abate. Then once more to our resort, their families I will escort, to enjoy sunshine and cool breezes, and spend in fun and play throughout the hot summer's day. Where again, with crowds on the beach, before evening shadows fall, I will sit, dream, and listen to the seagulls' mating call. This story was composed by Abe Rose and David Sheinbaum. Genie, or War's Futility. I wonder who is kissing her tonight, the genie with eyes ever so bright. I wonder who is courting her today, whereas I'm so far away. I remember the first time I met her, it was one early spring morn, and to keep her I knew I had better a beautiful world for her adorn. To be true and faithful forever, solemnly we crossed our heart, that our troth we would never sever, until death do us part. But war came to our land, and in uniform and rifle in hand, I was marched off to the war zone, and so poor Ginny was left all alone. Our parting was very sad, our tears did pour like rain. We both felt so very bad, our hearts were full of pain. Her letters were most endearing, they cheered me in the midst of hell. I prayed for the war's end nearing in the midst of shot and shell. One day the enemy made a furious attack, and hell was let loose in front and back. Savagely the carnage went on without end, and bleeding to death I was left in no man's land. Weeks and months went by fast, and I knew neither present nor past. In delirium I struggled for breath, as I hovered between life and death. In an enemy hospital one day I awoke, and unreal everything to me did seem. I didn't understand the language they spoke, and wondered if it all was but a dream. For many years the grim war lasted until both sides were totally exhausted. And realizing that victory neither side could gain, and that further slaughter would all be in vain, an armistice was effected, and each side representative selected who their dispute did fairly settle and for all time end their battle. Soldiers came drifting home, their hopes on the battlefield abandoned, for they brought no victory home. They felt shameful, sad, and despondent. Some couples and sweethearts reunited, but for many there was no dawning. In some homes lights were lighted, in others there was but mourning. I was brought home in effigy. I blame body beyond recognition, a symbol of the futility of war, an end to hope and all ambition. Bells could be heard ringing in the steeple, and in the streets the wailing of the people, for to the cemetery poor Jenny was carried among her ancestors to be buried, for from heartache she had perished. Vanity of vanities, saith the preacher, goodness and restraint toward the teacher. But no one listened, no one did hear, and now there was but sorrow, regret, and fear. D.S., May 1969. Long ago. Memories of long ago, how fast the years did go. But yesterday a little thought, now but a symbolic spot. I try to draw back the curtain of the years that have gone by, but I cannot be certain of events in time, no matter how hard I try. So let me see if it may be possible to reverse time and get a chance once more to see childhood and youth in its prime. So I adjusted the projector and unfurled the screen. I focused the reflector and fixed my eyes on the scene. Look, there I am toddling along, happy, healthy, and bright, joyful, playful, and carefree in a world full of delight. Now look, I am no more a child, but a mischievous rascal of a boy, troublesome and a little wild, ever playing with a toy. Once more there is a change, as in the streets I range, with boys in search of fun, and play until the day is done. There I am on my way to school to learn how to read and write, so that I do not remain a fool, but grow up knowledgeable and bright. Now some time has passed, and I am growing fast. No more fun, no more play, for into life I must make my way. With many a young miss I spend many hours of bliss in amorous play and affection, all leading to alter's direction. There's Ginny, lovely and sweet. I knew the moment I held her hand, there will be a lifelong treat, my life with her to spend. With Ginny a bride at my side, and the family happy and glad, I hear myself solemnly repeat, with this ring I thee wed. Still young and hearty life did seem, and all kind of words did occur. Then one day I stood as if in a dream. In a crib I watched a new life stir. Now we were three, and soon there will be additions to the family, and changes on the screen to see. But not all is bright, as on the scene comes a sight of sorrow, grief, and lament, as some loved ones reach life's extent. The old generation is no more as we struggle through middle age. Their absence we sorely deplore. We are entering a more solemn stage. The children have all grown up, but we both are getting old. They call me her granny and me pop. She turned grey and I'm bald. Now we are leading our children to the altar, first one and then the other, and once more we are left alone to falter, and in old age to care for each other. Soon after the children drifted apart, one to the east, the other to the west. They left a longing in our grievous heart, in doing what for them was best. Now and then we received a letter from one or from the other, just to remind us that they had forgotten their father and mother. Often cheerfully the letters read that we had become grandma and granddad. Quietly we sat and looked at each other, and reminiscent of the time when we became father and mother. Now we can but little walk, and we cannot even audibly talk. Our eyes too are getting weak, and our hearts now and then miss a tick. So now I write in poetry and prose for whoever will read, as well as for those who will come after we are no more, and so learn something about our family lore. Now I'm tired, must lie me down, and Ginny too with her work done. We have both played some sort of a role. So now good night, and God bless you all. D.S., May 20th, 1969.